Good evening and welcome to Mid-Valley Bible Church's 51st virtual prayer meeting. My name is Doug Hornock and I'm the pastor here. And tonight I want to do something different. I want to tell you about a man who, while many of you may not know his name, chances are good you're familiar with his work as a hymn writer. He was also a preacher, and a good one. But when the roll of great preachers is called, his name is usually omitted. His name was Elisha Albrecht Hoffman, and he lived in the 19th century, and his impact is still felt today by the more than 2,000 songs and hymns that came from his pen. Let me tell you briefly about him. E.A. Hoffman was born on May 7, 1839 in Orwigsburg, Pennsylvania. His parents were German and very devout Christians. In fact, his dad was a pastor. And each morning they would begin with family devotions where they would read the Bible and pray. They would thank God for the blessings of life. They would pray for daily guidance and the lost around them, praying for their salvation. And then they would also sing. And then they would go about their daily duties. And in the day, the same way, they begin it with family worship. Elisha attended grammar school and was a very good student. He went to high school in Philadelphia, where he graduated at the top of his class. And after high school, he entered Union Seminary in New Berlin, Pennsylvania. He graduated and was ordained as a minister in 1868. And he took a job with the Evangelical Church Association, working in the publishing division in Cleveland, Ohio, for 11 years. After that job, he served several pastorates in Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan. And he was one who not only preached on Sunday, but he also visited and witnessed to the sick and the lost and the needy in his community. He grew up in a home where his parents taught him, as I mentioned, a love of music. And although his formal training was limited, he did have a natural ability as a musician. And most importantly, he was blessed with the gift of hymn writing. He would get a thought in his mind and heart, and God would give him the words and the music for his hymn. And he would immediately write it down, and then the more he wrote, it seemed like the more God blessed him with additional hymns. He was a good pastor. He did evangelistic work, revivals, conferences, and conventions. But his greatest success was in hymn writing. As I mentioned, in his life, he wrote more than 2,000 gospel songs and edited over 50 songbooks. And among his most popular hymns were What a Wonderful Savior, Are You Washed in the Blood, No Other Friend Like Jesus, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, and Glory to His Name. But the hymn that I want to talk about is the hymn, I Must Tell Jesus, because the backstory for this hymn is really amazing. It seems that Pastor Hoffman was visiting in a community, and he came upon a home that had been experiencing a great deal of sorrow. And the mother was depressed and distraught. She felt that she was at the end of her road and could not face another day. And E.A. Hoffman tried to comfort her with Bible verses, but to no avail. And so he finally looked at her and said, "You can do nothing better than to take all your sorrows to Jesus." He told her softly, "You must tell Jesus." She thought for a moment, and then suddenly a smile came across her face. And she cried out, "Yes, yes, I must tell Jesus. I must tell Jesus." Well, Reverend Hoffman left for home with that phrase ringing in his ear, "I must tell Jesus." And as soon as he arrived home, he wrote these words, and the rest is history. He wrote, "I must tell Jesus all of my trials. I cannot bear these burdens alone. In my distress, he kindly will help me. He ever loves and cares for his own." The chorus is, "I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus. I cannot bear my burdens alone. I must tell Jesus. I must tell Jesus. Jesus can help me. Jesus alone." The other stanzas are, "I must tell Jesus all of my troubles. He is a kind, compassionate friend. If I but ask him, he will deliver. Make of my troubles quickly an end. The third stanza reads, tempted and tried, I need a great Savior, one who can help my burdens to bear. I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus. He all my cares and sorrows will share. The final stanza reads, oh, how the world to evil allures me. Oh, how my heart is tempted to sin. I must tell Jesus, and he will help me over the world the victory to win. I think we'll all agree that there are times in every Christian's life that they have no one to help them and no one to comfort them in times of sorrow, grief, and despair, or when they're burdened about a lost child or a family member. And I think that's where this hymn comes in. It says, I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus. I cannot bear my burdens alone. I must tell Jesus, I must tell Jesus. Jesus can help me. Jesus alone. That's what we're doing through the ministry of prayer. We're telling Jesus. And I believe that when we do that, we find comfort and peace. And so with that wonderful truth before us this evening, let's now go to prayer.